Hey everyone, it's Carol Foderick with the Carol Foderick Real Estate Group. Welcome to season 1, episode 2 of The Best Thing About Real Estate, which is our podcast, which we use as our avenue to deliver information to our clients about all things real estate. And today we have a pretty juicy topic. It is the good, the bad, and the ugly about the behind the scenes of real estate teams. And so this is obviously a topic that's going to be really specific for people that are in the real estate industry. But for people who are consumers, I think they're going to find a tremendous amount of value and probably interest in understanding what happens behind the scenes at real estate groups like ours, big real estate groups, like one of the biggest teams in Canada, but also at other teams in the industry. So a little bit of a tell-all without using real names, but we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty of all of it.
The curtain.
Mm-hmm. A peek behind the curtain. We're just gonna pull the curtain right back and
we're just gonna rip it off.
Yeah, I think we'll just rip the curtain down because I think there is so much misunderstanding about real estate teams and groups. And so I'm joined again by our director of sales, Emily Salter, and one of our senior agents, Amanda Whidden. Full disclosure, they just haven't left my house from.
We refuse to leave.
The last filming. And we've had a cocktail in between. So this is going to be great. We needed to be sure that we were really no holds barred on the topic that we're going to talk about today. So I want to start by asking Emily, who's of course seen, as you know from our first episode, has seen many, many different iterations of teams. What is the difference, first of all, between a real estate team and a real estate group? Because to be clear, a lot of industry people don't know, and I'm sure that most outsiders who are just consumers in the marketplace don't know the difference. So
that's a great question. And I think that something to point out here is that we are a group. We're not a traditional real estate team. And what I like to call it is sort of like we are all individual agents who own our own businesses, our own databases. We run our own businesses within the Carol Foderick Real Estate Group. So we're privy to the services that are offered to the entire group, but we are actually running our own businesses within that ether. A traditional real estate team, which the majority of teams are, and where I came from, there's a rainmaker or a team owner. I think rainmaker, that's that a KW term. So I'm not sure, shouldn't use
but certainly one person at the top.
Head honcho, but everybody else's business relies on that person.
It does. And head honcho was sort of like a very friendly term because tyrant sometimes may be a more accurate definition. And we all have team experience here before. Many agents in our industry have at one time been on a team. Usually if they've gone solo after team, it's because they've had a negative experience. Let's talk a little bit about that, how the negativity or the negative culture around the idea of a team contributes to a lot of people missing opportunities to be able to level up their business in a giant way because they just has a misunderstanding about what it is.
So I have a really kind of deep feeling around this. So when I started in this industry, I was 22. I looked 12. And I had the opportunity to join a very established team. And I saw success very quickly. Honestly, more success than I probably as where I was as a person or a business owner at that time. More success than I ever thought I would see. And it was a very, it was a learning curve in order to kind of change perspectives around what I could achieve in my lifetime. And great support system there. But I used to have agents from the brokerage, and it was one of the largest brands, and I would say a much more corporate experience than what Keller Williams has been like for me. But I would have agents ask me on a weekly basis. We would go to the weekly tour meetings where you'd go around and see other people's new listings, and they would say to me, "Why are you on a team? Why would you give up 50% of your commission?" Not that they even knew what my splits were, but that's kind of the assumption in the industry that you got to give half back, right? The reality is I was doing significantly more business than they were, significantly more business than I ever would have done on my own in a very short period of time because of the opportunities and the wealth of knowledge that I was provided by being a part of that group. I've been a proponent of teams since I started, and I always will be. I've also been a single agent, but for me, it's like if you want to take your business to the next level, wherever you're at, a team is where it's at, and teams are the future.
So Amanda, maybe you can also share your perspective because you've come off of real estate teams in the past, and I shared a little bit about your backstory in our last episode. But what attracted you to a real estate group versus joining another real estate team?
The group, like our group, allows you to build your own business. We want you to succeed and grow and nurture your business, all by being able to handle that capacity that Emily was talking about. And for me, it's building something that's going to be a legacy that lives on forever, that continues to grow within the group and continues to support as the group grows and everyone grows. No one wants you to succeed more than literally every single person on the team. And they're all growing their own beautiful businesses within the team. And the more we all do, the more we all support each other on.
We should definitely come back and unpack that, leaving a legacy and talking a little bit about
difference,
how real estate agents, single real estate agents in particular, don't tend to retire. And because they're not building that legacy business. So I think we should come back to that.
So I think in our last episode, for anybody that listened to it, we really kind of discussed all of the advantages that a client sees on the front end of the business side when you join a real estate group that has a huge, offering, what it translates into the customer service experience for your clients when you are part of a, almost 40-person team. It's a very different real estate journey that your client takes and somebody who's trying to be everything to everybody as a single agent.
Jack of all trades, master
of none. And we hear that a lot, right?
Right. You see the agents out there and, proudly posting on their Instagram about how, they're picking up dog poo and painting someone's house to get it ready for market. Is that the person you want to sit at the table to negotiate the sale of
Probably
your most
not.
important asset? That's like going to a dentist with rotten teeth.
No, I think that's important. And so I get asked a lot. So as the team, as a team leader, I get asked a lot about why an agent, especially a producing agent, so somebody who's not brand new to the industry, would join a team. Because, to take a step back, to be clear, everybody starts out and everybody needs to learn and grow. And there has to be a place and a space for that to happen in a healthy and transformative way. So for agents that are brand new to the industry, they need that fertile ground where they can land in a place that somebody's going to take the time to explain the ins and outs of the industry, best practices, set a high level of professional standards for them to be able to meet. But outside of that, like once you grow past that, it becomes a challenge for agents to understand why a mid-level agent or a top producing agent would choose to continue to share their business. And Amanda, I love your perspective on that because as we talked about in the last episode, you went from low-level production to incredibly high-level production very quickly and have maintained it. And yet you choose still to call, our real estate group home. What would you say to agents who would challenge you to say you should be out on your own?
I can't provide the level of service I give to my client each and every day without being part of this group. I would not be able to set the goals and achieve the next level without being part of the group. And we're all growing and refining our services based on our clients' needs. We're in a unique market this season. We'll unpack that on a different episode, I'm sure. But we're constantly educating ourselves and being able to be the sharpest tool that we can possibly be to be out there as fierce negotiators. I'm not out there painting someone's wall or picking up their dog poo, but I better bet that I have a toolbox of people who will do that.
Yeah.
So, and they're their best at their craft on painting or their craft at what they're
dog
doing.
Dog poo picking up?
I'm not sure if there's a dog poo picker
person, but there is somebody who would do it if it needed to be done.
But I'm the sharpest at my craft because of the team.
Yeah. And would it be a true statement to say, and I think it is, that even if you decided, okay, I don't want to be a part of this group anymore. I'm going to go off on my own. I'm going to run my own business. How many full-time staff would you then have to hire and take on and pay the salaries of in order to still provide the same level of service that we do?
Would you like me to keep counting?
Right?
I lost fingers.
Gary Keller says when a leader is growing a business, they have to continually be expanding their offering and the world in which they live so that those people who are top producing still find a place within that universe that makes sense for them to remain. That's what retention is. And I think that's something that Carol's done a really unique job at in terms of even just a contract, the splits. I've never seen more generous splits that exist. and also, our how our structure works with the more money our agents make, the less the splits get. And
the
that's
more you get to keep as an individual agent, the
but does
harder
it
you
affect
work.
the service offerings?
Absolutely not. It actually, the more you do and the more you produce,
wanna
the
ask
more
you,
services
Amanda,
you get.
I want to ask you, Amanda, real numbers. So when you started to where you're at now, production numbers, because there's going to be a lot of people who are in the industry and being like, oh, I'm way too successful to be a team agent. And I literally hear this verbatim. I sold 12 houses last year. I did 16 transactions. I am far too successful to be on a team. Let's hear your numbers. And I want to be clear, you're not the only one, Amanda, but let's hear your numbers because they're pretty impressive.
Year one house.
One house. And it was your cousin's house.
Yeah.
Before you joined a group.
Sister-in-law.
Before you joined a real estate group, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Year two, Carol Foderick Real Estate Group. I think I jumped to about 32 transactions.
32 transactions, yeah. In your
Yep.
first real year as a
First
producing
real
agent with the same
real
supports
year.
that a group provides.
Yep, absolutely. Year three, it was somewhere in the high 40s, I believe.
Mhm.
And this year is on target to be just slightly over that as well. So,
In a year where the number of transactions are down to about 50% of where they were in your first year of real estate.
yes.
So to be clear, you're
my
still
volume is
scaling.
actually up.
Your volume is
but
actually
my number
up.
of transactions.
And Emily, maybe you can speak to this because to be clear, it's not just Amanda. We have many agents on our team that are experiencing similar growth trajectories.
Absolutely.
What does that look like in a real way? Not just in terms of the numbers, but the way that, well, let's start with the numbers because I think that's a lot of people look at the numbers first. So let's talk about real.
I love me some real estate stats.
Yeah. Okay. You do.
I do.
You have that special thing. So you
do.
can actually, and I love this
Mhm.
because Emily can actually, when we're recruiting an agent to the team, Emily actually has special access to the tool that allows us to see exactly what production numbers are, not only for individual agents, but for real estate teams as well. So we actually know.
I do.
It's like God powers.
There is no Instagram
There's a lot
BSing.
of fibbing.
There's a lot of fibbing going on when you actually see the real transaction numbers behind the scenes. So let's talk about
People
the numbers.
fib?
People fib. Yeah.
Yeah.
The top producers standing next to their neighbor's Mercedes Benz.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, but it's a thing. Yeah, I mean, real numbers. I won't name the name of the company, but I'm a bit of a junkie, and I have to tone that down because Carol always
You're a
makes fun of
numbers
me
junkie.
for it.
I agree.
I love it. But if we were to take Amanda's production in her first year of real estate and compare it to the top 25 individual agents in all of TREB, all of the Toronto Real Estate Board, she would be in the top 20.
I'm blushing.
And that's in her first year in real estate.
Yeah.
Like that's the average real estate agent in Toronto. We talked about this in the last one, actually sells 0. A producing agent is less than 4. But I would say a top producing agent in this industry is actually selling between 10 and 12 homes per year. And sorry, when I say that, transactions, that could be leases as well. Whereas, we're collectively as a group, we did 354 transactions last year.
And on track to do somewhere over 400 this year.
We're over 450 already. That actually puts us in the top 5 of all of TREB when we compared to some of the teams that are actually brokerages. They have, twice as many, if not 3 times as many agents who are producing within their ether. So what the numbers that we're putting up are pretty phenomenal.
So numbers are important, and it is the metric by which, many agents will gauge their success. But when you have leverage in your business, as Amanda does, and as I do, and as you do, and all of the agents on the team, what does it mean in a practical way for an agent's lifestyle? Because people often find this, and this statistic has been true for a long time. I don't think a lot of real estate agents know this. We have the second highest divorce rate of any profession, next to mechanical engineers, which I don't understand what's very stressful about their jobs, but regardless.
We're about to get some comments under
we're gonna
this
get
podcast.
The engineers are oh man, the iron rings are gonna come out. Is it right hand or anyways? But real estate as a profession, very, very high divorce rate. So what does it look like for an agent when they are now able to change their lifestyle to be able to not only make more, net more, but have more free time? Like, how transformative is that? Because I can speak to that from my own person.
My husband as an example,
Yeah,
because I am
please, 'cause he's a
married to a
producing
real
agent.
estate agent.
Yes.
So I've been in the real estate industry 18 years. My husband has been in the industry 13 years. I started on a team. He started on a different team. And that was because because of this high level of divorce rate, I was like, I don't want to be teaching you how to use web forms. Like, you got to go and learn this business yourself. And then, maybe one day we'll work together. My real estate career has been a journey of selling real estate, managing teams, managing brokerages, recruiting, all sorts of different things. When I joined your group last year, I said to myself, and it made sense that he come on board, right? Like, it just was, why wouldn't he? But he had done the team thing, and he was like, I don't want to do the team thing. I like that I don't have to have weekly meetings and accountability, because he was on a very different structure.
We're going to come back to that, because people don't realize the difference in terms of what team means.
But I guess about 6 months into me working with you, one day he was listening in on a meeting we were doing on Zoom, because I work at the office and he works at the dining room table, essentially in the same room, but at different computers.
He was eavesdropping?
He was eavesdropping. Oh. And he said, I think I'm going to come check out your sales meeting on Friday. And I was like, all right, whatever. And literally, I think he sat down with you for 10 minutes after that meeting, and he called you, I think, that afternoon, was like, yeah, I'm coming on board.
I think it is. There's a lot of agents that choose to join a real estate team, or our real estate group in particular, because of the culture. But I tend to meet people in the marketplace, as most salespeople do, when they are at a place. If they're either in one or two places, they are either trying really hard but not getting any traction because they have no systems and they have no leverage, and there's an education component missing, or they have figured those things out, but now they need leverage because they are hitting that glass ceiling that exists somewhere around 15 transactions, where once you are successful in doing about 15 deals a year, you absolutely need an administrative assistant. Because if you don't have one and you're doing 15 deals a year, guess what? You're
doing
own.
Everything.
You're doing it yourself. And that is not the highest and best use of your time anymore as a dollar.
You're dropping balls.
Sales.
But I think what recruited him it was culture. It's a lonely business when you're doing it on your own, but it was also the service what we provide. Like, he was on a team, but not close to what we offer. And he's, getting weekly, like, you do that, your admin does that, your team does that. Like, it's impressive. He was just naturally recruited. I didn't have to say a thing, just by seeing what we had on offer.
So it's interesting because you talk about different teams, and it's true, splits are different, companies are different, culture is different. But what I think a lot of agents don't realize is that the lead generation models are different. We have a working by referral approach to selling real estate. That is the heart of our business. We talked about it extensively in our last podcast. Our business is built 100% on repeat customers and referrals. So we are required through that business model to provide an exceptional level of customer service experience to our clients, so that they feel confident enough to be able to work with us again or to refer us. That we have totally done just an exceptional job at exceeding their expectations at every phase of the transaction, so that they'll choose to work with us again. When you work by referral, you live and die by that experience that your clients have. What's interesting is that I think, especially to the consumers who are listening to this podcast, what they don't realize is that not every agent has that approach to real estate. And in fact, most don't. The reality is that probably 80% of the market is what we'll call a chaos agent. So they don't really know where their business is coming from. Maybe it's a lead from an open house. Maybe it's a sign call. Maybe it's a referral from a family member or a friend. Maybe they're door knocking. Maybe they're cold calling. Maybe they're putting flyers in doors. They don't know where their business is coming from.
And you said commission breath the other day.
Commission breath.
Really,
but we're going to come back to that.
Me.
So most agents don't realize, like, it's chaotic. There is no steady stream. And it's a stressful place to be as an agent when you don't have a systematic approach to your business and where your business is going to come from. It's no wonder that, you start the year and you wonder, like, how much am I going to make this year? Where's my business going to come from? Is the market going to be cruel, or is it going to be kind to me? You just live this roller coaster that is the GTA real estate market, because there is no predictable results.
And that's one, being somebody who loves the numbers. Part of my role as the team leader or director of sales is I track lead generation numbers. And that allows both Carol and I to support the agents on the team in their lead generation efforts to see where there are holes. Nobody's doing that. Like, this is very special thing that we do on our team.
I think the accountability is a big part of it, but nobody does it, because if you're a real estate professional, unless you're a really special type of person, I don't want to be cold calling people. I don't want
No,
to be
but
door
Carol,
knocking.
do you know how many contacts it takes for you to close a transaction?
I know exactly. And that's the reality. And when you know, when
So
you have
in
total
January
clarity
1st,
of
do
your
you
number,
know how much?
so you
how
know
much
exactly
business you're
what you
gonna
need
do?
to do to make the money that you need to make to be able to feed your family and save for the future and be able to service all of your debts and grow and invest in the things that are important to you, and how much time off that you can afford to take as well. So yeah, you have total clarity of your numbers. But I think one of the reasons why people shy away from real estate teams or the idea of real estate groups is because they have had an experience with a real estate group where it is a cold calling or a door knocking, and you are essentially a warm body that is filling a role. And maybe you can, well, let's unpack this a little bit, because I think that agents even don't realize that sometimes when you're being hired by a team, you are hired because you are just a warm body to open a phone book and start calling people, to start door knocking. And
Just
you are
to sit
there.
at a house.
Yeah, you are there to generate leads for the team leader. That is not the way our real estate group
and
works.
I think
it's the
that
opposite.
we should go back to that because, we talked a little bit about how traditional teams, it's, one leader at the top, one rainmaker at the top. Everyone else's business is contingent on that person doing well. So that person's generating the leads. That person has the website. That person controls everyone's database. What we do differently is Amanda has her own database. I have my own database. Everyone has their own database that could be sold one day, could be taken with them one day. It's her business that she's running under our collective services. And that is definitely, I think, the most important thing that sets us apart as a group as opposed to a team. It's ownership, it's autonomy.
I always say it's the three. So leads, which we do give out, and I'll come back to in a minute. Leverage, which we've talked about extensively, the benefit of having literally the same back-end administrative staff that I have running my multi-million-dollar business that you have as a new agent or as a mid-level agent trying to scale up your business. But the most important thing that nobody ever asks about is ownership of your database. I'm going to say this clearly because this is the most important thing that an agent can hear from this podcast today. You must retain ownership of your database. As real estate professionals, it is the only asset that we should have ownership of.
You must
ownership of your database.
Find me in our marketplace another group
they don't
or
exist,
team
and I think that's why when people realize
it's a
that
very
there's
unique
ownership,
offering, which is mind blowing to me. Because
I can think of 4 agents off the top of my head who've recently left teams in our marketplace that are now in lawsuits with that rainmaker
over the ownership
of
a client.
And sometimes these are family members in your most of the times they're family members in
you
your
have this
database.
experience, Amanda. I'd love to hear that from you. You were told by your first team what?
They were going to retain ownership of all my clients and the
client who was your cousin?
Sister-in-law.
They were supposed to be like, you can never speak to your sister. Like, that's ridiculous. But it is similarly ridiculous to expect that ownership of a client that as a team or as a group agent, you have developed a relationship with, had been able to convert to a successful transaction, maintained a community with,
trust.
Built the trust with, gained the privilege of servicing their friends and family, that when you leave that group, you should have to forfeit the legal ability to be able to continue on with that. But that is industry standard in our market. And this is why people are so shocked of what we're doing here at CFREG, to be able to give our agents the ownership of those leads in perpetuity, so that, when Amanda leaves or when Emily leaves, which I hope will be never, but maybe the time will come when you decide that you want to start in the fashion empire. We talked
I'm
about
going
that
back to waitressing.
Truck stop waitressing.
Truck stop waitressing.
But when the time comes that you're ready to say, you know what, real estate isn't for me anymore, you have the ability to market and sell that database. It is the only asset that we have ownership of as real estate professionals. And agents don't even ask about it. They're asking the wrong questions. They shouldn't be asking, what are the splits? What are you going to give me? That's an important part of the conversation, but you should be asking me, what lead opportunity am I getting on this team?
I'd like to point out that 100% of nothing is still nothing.
100% of nothing is nothing. But what leads can you give me access to?
Yep.
What
open houses, plethora. Like we have, honestly, let's be honest, we have more. We're dropping the ball on some of the leasing, the leads.
Okay, we're going to cut that out of the podcast part of it about how we're dropping the ball on some of our current listings.
No, leads. Cut it, Alvin, cut.
But let's talk about the benefit of leads from a team perspective. So we are,
I don't even want to say leads. Can we say opportunities?
Opportunities, I think. So we are a meritocracy. And this is really important because at many teams, what you have is that rainmaker who frankly has favorites among the team, or maybe it's a senior agent who gets first pick at the best client opportunities or the easiest client opportunities. And then the last person in the door gets to, deal with the hardest or most challenging or least valuable leads that come in.
Yeah, you got to earn your right to be a part of most of the traditional structured team. It's like you got to show up, you got to earn your right to even have, a kick at the can.
Yeah, that's fair. But what I think is unfair with a lot of teams is the fact that you have people that will just never climb that ladder because the bigger dogs in that team at the top are always going to eat first. Yeah. And that is so fair, so unfair. So we pride ourselves on the fact that we are a meritocracy. So if you are successful at working in your database and you're able to show up for your own clients in a meaningful and consistent way, you will be awarded opportunities for sign calls and internet leads and other opportunities that come forward, whether it's a buyer client, a leasing delegation client, a listing. You will be afforded those opportunities to go into your own database, total ownership of that, because we reward energy and effort spent on your own business first. And I think that that's what's different. And that's why we can have agents. And we have agents, not just Amanda, but many of our top agents on the team who actually consistently are turning down those opportunities because their own business is so robust. So
now it's churning itself.
Because let's talk about getting your license in Ontario, right? So recently there was this big push towards, making it more difficult, making the process of getting your license more college-like. Well, this all happened during
class one.
COVID. And to be honest, to me, sorry, Humber, but it seems like pretty much the same experience that I had going through
the older vehicles.
They took out Mets and Bounds.
They did not.
They did.
I use that every day in my business.
Mets and Bounds. Only industry professionals will
actually,
know
there is
the
a slide.
challenge.
I lied.
Also,
there's one slide.
I'd like to point out that when I got my real estate license in 2006, the exam was open book, so you could look up the answer.
All right.
That's how easy it is to get your
They hand out real estate licenses like Halloween candy. What nobody tells graduates of the Ontario Real Estate Association course is the hard part isn't learning what's in the textbook. It's actually being able to differentiate yourself in what is the most crowded marketplace, probably in North America.
How not to get sued, I would say.
Unsuccessfully, I want to be clear, because there are lots of lawsuits that go in our industry from unskilled professionals who just got their real estate license.
But I would say, the reality is most people get their license wherever they're at in their lifespan, whether they're 22 and hot out of school like I was, or if it's a second career and they have, an established sphere of influence or database of people that they know. The majority of people get their license and then go, okay, well, yeah, I'm just going to let everybody know I'm in real estate and everyone's going to call me and I'm going to be their real estate agent.
Is that how it works? Does that work for you, Amanda? Because that's not how it works.
No, that is not how it works.
No.
What do you have to prove to people in order for them
to
want to?
What are the three things?
There's three things.
So a client needs to, and I would challenge any client that's listening to this or any customer who's not in the industry to challenge me on this, because these are the three things that every customer needs to know before they will hire you, not just in real estate, but in any industry. They need to know that you are good at what you do. They need to know that you can trust them, and they need to know that you care about them. And until you have established those three fundamentals, you will not get hired as a real estate professional or as their dog walker, frankly.
Yeah.
Like it is
to pick up the poo.
But I also think that if I'm honest, those three things are not offered by the majority of agents that are out there. I can share some nightmare stories. I've had the privilege of selling 5 properties over the weekend, and none of those agents across the table for me, except for one, was a full-time agent. And I can tell you that they were not representing their clients with professionalism, sometimes with what seemed like honesty, and sometimes with just basic skill. Like when I'm having to, and I pride myself on trying to take the collaborative educational side of a transaction when I'm working with someone who is not as experienced or experienced at all. But it is a challenge. And it's also, it's alarming to me sometimes. I think, in what world did you decide that this person who is actually a full-time mechanical engineer would be the best person to represent you.
I think it's challenging, Emily, because a lot of consumers just don't know the difference. And I think that that's where we have to differentiate ourselves as a real estate group. Like when we sit down in our meetings and we meet a lot, I believe that mastery of a profession only happens when somebody has been doing this for a minimum of 10,000 hours. That's a true statistic, I think, in other professions. It is actually mastery. Yeah.
Okay.
You need 10,000 hours at this. And it is very difficult to do that as a part-time agent. When I sit in one of our meetings, and we believe very much in office culture that we all learn together, that it is important for you to be in the real estate space as often as possible, as much as possible, day in and day out, because you are consistently absorbing the information that gets shared by other agents.
I learn something new every day.
Every day. But I sit there in our meetings and I'll look around and it's an honor for me to be in community with the agents that choose to, grow their business under the umbrella of services that, CFREG provides. But we are at a higher standard than the vast majority. And in fact, we turn down more agents than we allow onto the team, which is completely different from the vast majority of teams where it's like, if you can fog a mirror, you've got a place on this team.
Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic. Traditional teams where they're not investing the whole cold hard cash that you're actually investing in every agent that comes on our team in terms of, the expenditure that you make when we have a new team member come on, and you can speak to that. But the reality is most, traditional teams, it's like they'll take anybody because, 10 of those Humber graduates, you throw them at the wall, maybe 2 of them will stick and actually make it past their first year in real estate.
It's unfortunate.
And that's statistically proven. I'm not just making that
that's
up.
when, Amanda and I sit down, and it's not just new agents. When I sit down with our established agents at the beginning of the year and say, what do you need from me to continue to be to continue to scale your business and to continue to grow and be successful, not just professionally, but also personally. It has to be mutually beneficial for both of us. I need to make an investment in Amanda's business of real dollars and the infrastructure that she needs to be able to continue to grow and scale. And Amanda is going to make a similar investment in her time and energy and showing up for her clients and her business in the way that it calls her to do in order for that growth to happen. So you need to have 2 like-minded professionals who see this as the opportunity for a win-win. And that's how you see successful agents. I'd love to hear your feedback, Amanda, because you talk to a lot of agents that call you on why are you on a team? I'd love to hear your feedback about how you answer those questions.
The very first question I get is, why would you split your commission with your team? It's the number one question. And I was like, A, you don't know what's in my contract. B, how many transactions have you done last year? The more I produce, the more I keep, and the more the services continue to grow within the team. Why wouldn't I split? You can't hire an assistant. Like, think about if you want a job today, what are you going to pay someone for a fair living wage? Are you going to give them health benefits? Like, I believe that you should pay someone a very good salary.
Well, a real estate admin,
back that out.
Let's talk about it honestly. A real estate admin starts at about $70,000 Canadian a year. And then plus you have to do all of their remittances, plus you have to manage HR, plus you have to train that person, plus you have to retain them. And it's the ability to acquire really great real estate administrative talent is a skill, and it's something that you work at. And we work really, really hard to headhunt the best of the best to represent our
And as
team
an individual
agents.
agent, you also have to then train that person to help you grow your business. It's not like they're automatically going to come in and be like, okay, now you're committed to paying somebody this salary that is maybe going to help them support their lives. Now you have to double down, teach them everything that you're doing, and also do more business to pay for them. So it just wouldn't make sense for you. Like,
it's interesting because we talked about the benefit of leads or lead opportunities. We've talked about ownership, and this is really the discussion about leverage, right?
Yeah.
And this is the biggest miss thing. So I pride myself on the fact that every single one of our agents, day in and day out, are only doing what we call dollar producing activities. So this is the opportunity to work inside your database, to stay in community with your clients, and to serve your current clients who are in the midst of a transaction to the highest level possible on things that directly impact the salesperson's bottom line. So your ability to stay on task with dollar producing activities and to be able to delegate everything else to somebody who frankly is going to be much more skilled at it than somebody else.
Yeah. And I'm
so the
go
benefit
back to
of
my
leverage
husband again, because it's the systems for him that really have already in 6 months changed the trajectory of where his business will go next year, right? It's challenged him to look at business in a different way because of how he was taught the business. It was more transactional, if we're honest. He has some great long-term clients who naturally organically refer him every year. But now that he's being intentional about it, like his phone just rings.
I'm excited for him.
Right? It's
Yeah.
just, it's
and
exciting
that's part of it
to see
too.
the
Like
I
we're
love
transition.
that.
all
You said,
excited for
I love
each
that.
other.
You said, I'm excited for him because I think that speaks to our culture.
Yeah.
And Amanda, you're like our, chief culture officer sometimes at the office. I'd love to hear what culture means to you and why culture is so important to you. Because to be fair, it's not just splits. It's not just how much more money am I going to make, how much more time with my family. If you're going to go and spend 10,000 hours in an office environment, what does it have to look like for it to be beneficial? Because not all office culture is positive. Some of it, in fact, in the real estate industry is really toxic, really competitive in a negative way. What does positive culture mean for you, Amanda?
It means when you open the door, someone's got your back. They care about you. What's going on in your home life? How can we support you? Hey, we noticed your listing. What's going on? Is there anything I can help with? Here's what I was kind of thinking. Just that collaborative approach.
Yeah.
Laughing, having team lunches. One of the things I love most about being on the team is the ability for the self-development. I don't like
Huge.
the growing and understanding my own personality and understanding how I can be a better person, not just in my business, but a better family member to my partner and to my family and quite frankly to my clients. So not just growing
And
a
your
business
dogs.
and professionally and my two beautiful dogs.
Dogs.
How can I be a better person? And that's something we train on and work
coaching
on.
is a big part of
Coaching
our
is a big
offering.
thing. But
as
also
well.
just like you talked a little bit about lifestyle, right? So, Scott and I, we have a cottage. It's my happy place. Last weekend, we were there for the first time in 2 months just because we've been so busy. And of course, he got a bully offer. Did he have to drive back to the city to meet with his clients? No. We had another agent on the team put their hand up and said, no, of course I'll help out. I'll go there. They needed to meet in person because they're technologically challenged. So, Scott can of course get on the phone and do the voice to voice communication, but sometimes you just need somebody to be there in person for you. And, there's no like, yeah, what are you going to do for me? It's like, yeah, no problem. I've got you. And then in turn this week, Scott returned the favor to that agent. So that also is a beautiful thing about our culture is it's like, you're not in this alone. You want to go on vacation? I helped you out last week. Like
exactly.
This is what we do.
That is real estate 101. I just want to say, Amanda, real estate 101, like how many agents go on vacation and they end up ruining and that's probably why the divorce rate is so high. I was
just about to say, you go on vacation and you spend the whole time in your hotel room in off hours. Cause by the way, you're a 9-hour time zone difference.
Yeah.
And your significant other or family or friends, wherever you are pissed off at you, quite frankly, because
you ruined their vacation.
And
I
see on the flip side the disservice done to clients all the time where I'll get a call on a long weekend, we want to see this property, but our agent's away and, they don't have anybody supporting them. And that's the reality of being a single agent in this business, right? Like, let's be clear. You get your license. You have to choose a brokerage to join. There are very different offerings when it comes to brokerages, just like there are teams. There's discount brokerages where literally you just pay them every month and they do nothing for you. We actually just onboarded someone onto our team who had that experience for the last year. And when they came and met with us and we were like, oh no, this is the service offering that we provide. They were like, oh, I didn't even know this existed. Like
the staging service alone, I can't tell you how many agents on the team just stay because of our at-cost staging
I
services.
think also
I think there's other reasons. There's many other reasons.
Sure, but I want to just say, like the fact that we offer at-cost staging, like you can go and stage a house and it can cost you $12,000. We get at-cost staging services, which is the benefit of having 20 agents all pooling their businesses together. We can afford way better stuff for a fraction of what it costs.
Interestingly, I had an agent call me the other day who's bringing out a listing across from one of ours that's fully staged.
Yeah.
The house is vacant, fully staged. It would be tens of thousands of dollars to stage that home for 1 month. We're in a bit of a down market. It's been listed
could be 60
for 3
days,
months.
could be 90 days. Yeah.
So he wanted to know what the cost of staging was. And I said, well, actually nothing. I said, for us, we have in-house staging and design. So there is no out of pocket costs
in
for
the
me.
Same way that they go to a third-party
And then, of
service.
course, he came back, well, if you were to have to pay an outside stager, what do you think that'd be? First of all, sir, I don't know. I'm not a stager. Second of all, I said, tens of thousands of dollars, right? And that is a true
Call a few, get
hard
a quote.
fact. I can, share with you some nightmare stories of many months of staging renewals that I've had as a single agent before joining this team. And I would say, yeah, that
I think the
cost is
expectation on
huge.
the expectation on the client side has changed so dramatically,
God.
certainly in the last 20 years. And it's been influenced in part by, the rise of shows like HGTV, $1 Million Listing. Like people are now, the expectation is that you're going to give them, much more. And it's important, to be fair, prices have escalated in the GTA hugely in the last 20 years. So, if you're charging your clients a commission, their expectation of what they're going to get, because now that is exponentially more money than it was 20 years ago, the tastes have changed, the expectation have changed. And if you are not an agent that is keeping pace with being absolutely like the front of the line in terms of what you're offering, frankly, your lunch is going to get eaten by myself or one of the agents on my team who are able to offer absolutely top shelf services for a fraction of what it would cost you to do it. And that's why we are seeing this teamization of our industry.
And I also think that comes back to like our service providing. It's like we pay the same amount for photography on a $800 basement apartment lease as we do on an $800,000, $5 million property. The way we present things to the market always has to be consistent because every one of our clients deserves our top level of service, bar none, because that's what creates repeat referral business.
And there's stats to show that well presented, well marketed homes, beautifully staged, sell higher.
So I want to ask you a question right now, because you're both producing agents. You also, Emily, you also have administrative roles on the team as well too. Right now, in a leadership position, right now, the staff and the back end of the office is doing what for you so that you can sit here and film this podcast today, which is going to have reach to your clients and do other things. What sort of tasks are being taken?
I'm not sure there's enough time on the podcast to list everything that they're possibly doing right now.
Well, I know right now Anissa's doing an amendment for me.
Me as well.
Love it. Deals being done. Amendments mean deals are getting done. I love it. But yeah, paperwork on the back end.
Reporting 3 sales firm on Treb. Yeah. So
somebody's posting to your social media for you. Somebody is prepping your pop buys because Christmas, somebody bought your pop buys for you at no cost to you.
They're on my desk.
Somebody is planning our next client appreciation event. Somebody is drafting the email that's going to go out to your database.
Someone's probably helping a client book an elevator. Someone's, probably the staging, making sure that the staging is booking photography.
Like all of these things, it allows you to be here and be present, not just in ways that are fulfilling to you, but also that move the ball forward on your life and your business, both transactionally and personally, for all the things that we can't actually
I gotta say, this is way more fun than doing an amendment. So yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I would rather.
I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or you know what, being able to pick up my client's phone call and have a lengthy conversation with them while still servicing other clients' needs at the same time. When someone needs you, because there's a panic moment and they just need to have an hour conversation with you, that's great. That's no problem. Other things still get done.
And I just want to wrap up on this last thing as well, too, because we talk a lot about the emotional and the logistical investment that we make in our clients. But the reality is that our lives happen at the same time as our clients are going through some of the biggest, most challenging decision-making process of their lives. But at the same time, it is just as important for you to be present at your kids' hockey game.
Yeah.
It's just as important for you to be present with your mom who's got early stage Alzheimer's, like whatever that looks like for you. And there are seasons in your life when you're going to have to take a step back from your business. And I've been through them. You've been through them. You've been through them. There isn't a person in our industry that hasn't faced life-altering circumstances. And unfortunately for most of them, it means that the business just comes to a grinding halt and balls get dropped and deals don't get done and clients get angry. I have to say, and as
our
part of
business
this
can
team,
keep running.
Our business continues. The momentum moves forward, even when you have to take a time out and say, you know what? My family needs me. I need me. I need to put my own oxygen mask on first. And thank you, ladies, for your time today, because you are a huge part of what makes this team grow. And it's been awesome. First 2 episodes in the bag.
Excellent.
She's going to make us leave our house now.
We swore once.
We didn't swear at all.
He's
There's no cutting. I appreciate it. Alvin's very proud. He's going to have to minimize the editing on the back end with the swearing. But I'm excited, and we'd love to hear from you. So if you've listened to this podcast, maybe you're an agent that's thinking about making a transition to somewhere that feels a little bit more friendly and supportive. Maybe you're a consumer and have thoughts about what we shared today. I would love to hear from you guys.
Maybe you're a past client who'd like to become a real estate agent. Hey, reach out. I'd love to chat with you.
We should have a client on this episode.
We are going to have clients on the episode. Oh, you just wait and see. I've got way better guests than you guys.
Oh,
planned
man.
next
We're going to have to be kicked out of the house. No, I'm leaving.
I love it.
Bye.
Well, thank you guys for watching today or listening or however you're interpreting this media. And can't wait to be of service to you or someone you know with anything real estate related. Please reach out, guys. We'd love to hear from you. Till next time.